I pulled out a ring at her awards dinner and she called me boring scale guy. So I reported her, returned the ring, canceled the cabin, saved the invoice screenshot, photographed her city email preview, and triggered an ethics review. And she was put on administrative leave. I still have the invoice screenshot saved in a folder called Receipts. It is not for revenge. It is because one picture can keep you from rewriting history later. Every time I see it, I hear her whisper again. Back then, I was 40 and living in Staunton, Virginia, in a small duplex with a narrow porch and a stubborn screen door. The place always smelled like toasted bread from the old toaster, and the cedar chips I kept in a bowl to fight damp air. My work boots sat by the heater vent every night, drying in the same spot like a routine I could trust. I calibrate industrial scales for food plants and farm co-ops. I bring certified weights, set them down one by one, and make the numbers match what is real. When I do a calibration check, there is no room for wishful thinking. The display is either true or it is not. Her name was Linnea Harth, and she was 39. She worked for the city as a communications officer, which meant she handled public messages, official posts, and what people were allowed to say in the city's name. She always talked about professionalism. She also loved being the person who decided what looked good and what looked messy. We had been together almost 4 years, but we did not live together. She stayed over most weekends and kept a drawer at my place. We talked about marriage like it was a thing we would get to when life slowed down. The problem was, life never slowed down. One night in early spring, we were eating takeout noodles on my couch while the rain tapped the windows. I said, "Do you still see us getting married?" I tried to say it lightly, like I was asking about a movie. She stared at the TV for a long moment and then said, "I do, just not right now." Her voice was soft, almost guilty, like she felt bad for disappointing me. Then she added, "Don't make it heavy, Rowan." That was confrontation one. I asked for a clear sign and she gave me fog. I told myself to be patient because love is not a deadline. Still, a quiet part of me wondered why she needed me to stay calm more than she needed to be clear. Here is the first advice I wish I had followed sooner. If you want marriage and they want someday, do not keep moving your own goalposts. Ask for a timeline you can both live with. If they refuse to even talk about one, that is information. A month later, Linnea told me I was invited to the city's Heritage Awards dinner at the Stonebridge Hotel. She said it would be nice for me to meet people she worked with. She said it would be good for her image, and she laughed like it was a joke. I took it as a sign she was letting me into her world. I bought the ring 2 weeks after that. It was not huge, but it was chosen with care, a clean stone in a simple setting. I planned a quiet proposal at our table at the dinner, not on a stage, not in a crowd, just a moment between us. I also booked a small weekend cabin for after, because I thought we would want space to breathe and smile. The stakes were simple and sharp. The jeweler's return window was 36 hours after the dinner because it was a special order. The cabin deposit was refundable only until midnight the next day. If I got it wrong, it would cost me money, but more than that, it would cost me my pride. The night of the dinner, the hotel lobby smelled like lemon polish and old stone. Linnea looked stunning in a dark green dress, and she held my arm like we were solid. Her coworkers came up in little waves, shaking my hand, calling her the city voice. I kept smiling, even though my stomach kept tightening. Dinner was loud but not chaotic, just enough clinking glasses and polite laughter. When dessert plates arrived, I felt my chance. I slid my hand into my jacket pocket and touched the ring box to steady myself. I took it out under the table just a little so I could open it low and show her first. Linnea's eyes flicked down and saw the box. Her face went tight in a way I had never seen. She leaned close and whispered, "God, please don't. You're embarrassing both of us." Her words were soft, but they hit hard because she said them like I had done something shameful. The music kept playing and the people at the table kept smiling, and I suddenly felt like I was underwater. I closed the box without thinking. I slid it back into my pocket like it was a hot coin. I nodded once like I understood, even though I did not. Linnea stayed smiling for the rest of the table, like nothing happened. Her hand squeezed my knee once under the table, not as comfort but as control. Every few minutes she leaned towards someone and laughed, and I kept thinking, did anyone hear her? Did anyone see my face? After the awards and the speeches, she pulled me into the hallway near the coat check. I asked, "Why would that embarrass you?" I kept my voice low because I was still trying to protect her, even after she cut me. That was confrontation, too. She started quiet, like she felt guilty again, and she said, "You surprised me, okay?" Then her eyes flashed and the guilt turned into rage. She hissed, "Do you want people to think I trapped myself with some boring scale guy?" I felt my throat close, not because I was shocked she was upset, because she had turned my job and my whole life into an insult. I did not argue back, because arguing would only give her more reason to call me embarrassing. I walked outside into the cool air and stood under the street lamp for a minute. I pulled the ring box out and looked at it like it was a tiny mistake with a heavy weight. I thought about my work and how a calibration check saves you from bad readings. That whisper was a bad reading of our whole relationship, and it finally forced the truth. I drove home alone with my hands tight on the wheel. My phone buzzed once with a text from Linnea that said, "Don't be dramatic." I did not reply because there was nothing safe to say. When I got home, I opened my laptop and pulled up the jeweler email. The invoice screenshot showed the purchase, the return deadline, and the restocking penalty if I missed it. That was the money proof, and it was simple. I had paid for a future Linnea just rejected in public. I packed the ring back into its little bag and set an alarm for the morning. Then I canceled the cabin, got the refund confirmation, and moved the money into my savings. I did not do it to punish her. I did it because I was done investing in a plan she did not want. Here is the second advice, and it is practical. If someone humiliates you in public, do not beg them for a private apology that never comes. Protect your money, protect your dignity, and pause big life decisions until your head is clear. A calm exit is stronger than a loud fight. The next day, Linnea called like nothing happened. She said, "So are we still going to that cabin?" I told her, "No, I canceled it." There was a long silence, then she laughed like I was playing a game. She said, "You are so sensitive." Then she added, "You should be grateful I stopped you from making a scene." That was when I realized she thought she saved me, not hurt me. 2 days later, I got the location proof by pure accident. The event photographer emailed a link to the dinner photos because Linnea had submitted my email on the guest list. I opened it at my kitchen counter, expecting boring shots of plaques and smiles. One photo stopped me cold. Linnea was in the hotel hallway by the coat check with 2 coworkers, all 3 laughing. In the corner of the frame, my hand was visible and the ring box was visible, half out of my pocket, like a little secret caught on camera. The timestamp showed it was taken less than 5 minutes after she whispered, which meant she did not go home upset. She stayed and celebrated. The photographer's name was Esme Caldera. She was 38, with a calm face and kind eyes in her profile photo. She had written a short note under the gallery link. "Let me know if any shots need to be removed for privacy." That small line hit me. She cared about privacy more than the city communications officer did. I did not message Esme right away. I just saved the photo to a folder and sat there. I kept hearing Linnea's words, "boring scale guy," like she had measured me and found me worthless. The communication proof arrived 3 days later, and it arrived in a way I could never have planned. Linnea left her city-issued tablet on my coffee table one night when she stopped by to talk. She took a call outside, and the tablet lit up with an email notification that previewed the subject line. It read, "Stonebridge ring box moment LOL." Under it, a few lines of the email were visible in the preview, enough to make my skin go cold. He almost did it at the table. I shut it down. I saved us. It was her city email address, and it was sent to a group of coworkers. I did not touch the tablet. I did not open anything. I took a photo of the preview with my old analog clock in the frame so I could show the time. Then I turned the tablet face down and waited for her to come back inside. When she walked in, I asked, "Did you email your coworkers about my proposal?" Her eyes darted to the tablet. She tried to smile, but her mouth did not cooperate. She denied it first. "No, that's not what it is." Then she minimized it. "It was just a joke. They were checking on me." Then she partially admitted, "Okay, I mentioned it, but you put me on the spot." And then she went for the emotional move. "Why are you trying to ruin my life over one whisper?" Here is the third advice. When the story shifts from what they did to how you reacted, you are being moved off the truth. Bring it back to facts. Do not let your feelings be used as a distraction from their behavior. I did not threaten her. I did not call her names. I told her one sentence: "I will not be mocked for wanting to build a life." Then I asked her to leave. That night I called an older attorney named Garen Price. He had a voice like gravel and calm, like he had seen everything. I met him at an all-night truck stop off I-81, where the coffee smelled burned and the booths had cracked vinyl seats. Garen looked at the Ring invoice screenshot, the photo from the gallery, and my photo of the email preview. He gave me short guidance, no lectures. He said, "If she used city email to gossip and mock a private citizen, that is a policy issue." Then he said, "If you want boundaries, set them in writing, not in shouting." Garen helped me write a simple email to the city ethics officer. It was factual, dates, screenshots, and a request for review. I did not ask for revenge. I asked for accountability. The city responded faster than I expected. They asked for the full email thread, not just the preview. Linnea panicked and called me at midnight, crying and begging. She said she would lose everything if the city looked at her messages. Then, in the most fitting betrayal, Esme Caldera stepped in. She emailed the city ethics officer too, because her photography contract was with the city, and she did not want her work tied to bullying. She included the hallway photo with metadata and a signed statement describing what she overheard, including the exact whisper. That signed document became the killer receipt because it came from a neutral professional, not from me. Linnea's coworkers scattered the moment the investigation started. Nobody wanted their name attached to official gossip on city systems. One of them forwarded the full thread to the ethics officer to protect themselves, and it showed Linnea had been teasing the proposal for weeks. She had written, "If he does it, I'm shutting it down. Watch his face." That was the big twist. She did not just reject me. She set me up to be rejected. The Ring box was not a surprise to her. It was her little planned moment of power. The city put her on administrative leave and moved her out of public communications. The ethics officer issued a formal reprimand that became part of her file. In a small town, news travels fast even when nobody posts it online. I ended the relationship quietly, not with a speech, but with a boundary. I returned the ring the next morning and got the refund before the deadline. I packed the small things she kept at my place into a box, left it with Garen's office receptionist, and changed my door code. For a few weeks, I lived in a short-term sublet above a seed and feed store outside town. It smelled like hay and fertilizer in the stairwell, and the floor creaked with every step. I spent my evenings studying for a higher-level certification in my field, because I needed my life to move forward, not circle. A month later, I took a new position in Salida, Colorado, calibrating scales for a mountain dairy cooperative. The air there was thin and bright, and the mornings smelled like pine and cold river water. I did a calibration check on my own life too. Less noise, better readings, real peace. Esme and I stayed in touch in a careful way. She never pushed. She never used my pain as a topic. She would just ask, "Are you eating? Are you sleeping?" It was so simple it made me sad for what I had accepted before. 6 months after that dinner, I proposed again, not at a public event, not with a crowd nearby. I asked Esme on a quiet overlook above the river, and she said yes with a smile that looked like relief, not shame. 2 weeks later, Linnea found out through a work contact. One of my vendors in Virginia forwarded me an email Linnea had sent, asking where I was living now. She wrote, "I need to talk to him. It's important." That was her reconnect attempt, sliding through work because she knew my number was blocked. She showed up in Salida anyway, standing outside my shop office at the end of the day. Her eyes were red and her voice shook. She said, "I heard you're engaged," like she was reading a tragedy headline. I agreed to one conversation in public, at a small family-run taco place with bright tiles and warm air that smelled like grilled onions. I sat across from her and kept my hands flat on the table. I did not want to win. I wanted closure with a boundary. This was confrontation 3. Linnea started with deny. "I never meant to humiliate you." Then she minimized. "It was a whisper. People say things when they're nervous." Then she partially admitted, "Okay, I shouldn't have joked about it at work, but you did pull out the box in public." Then she tried the emotional move. "You threw me away, and now everyone thinks I'm a monster." I looked at her and said, "You told people to watch my face." I kept my voice steady and said, "That is not nervous. That is planned." I told her I was engaged to someone who wanted me, not someone who feared being seen with me. Linnea stared at the table like it might give her a new excuse. Then she asked, "Can we start over?" Her voice sounded small, and for a moment I almost felt sorry, but I remembered the hallway photo. I remembered the email subject line. I remembered that I was not the one who made it public. She did. I stood up and said, "I will always wish you well, but I will not be your secret shame again." Linnea started crying, and I did not comfort her. Some comfort is a trap. I paid for my food, nodded once, and walked out into the clean mountain air. That night, Esme and I ate dinner together at our kitchen table, just the two of us, no audience. She asked if I was okay, and I told her the truth. I said, yes, because the reading is finally true. I still do calibration checks for a living. I also do them in my heart. If someone makes you feel embarrassed for loving them, your numbers will never line up. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe the channel.